Alright everyone, welcome back to another video, and this is the second video in the UCI Esport World Championship Series. I'm going to be analyzing the finishes of each of these races, so I'm going to be going over my thoughts and personal opinions. I don't know too much about what was going on in these riders' heads, so I'm not going to know whether they had more energy to spare, what their tactics were, what their plans were. This is all speculation based off of what I can see on Zwift and what I have seen in the streams and what I've heard the commentators say. So, if you guys have any of your own thoughts, please feel free to share that below in the comments. I would love to hear what you think about my analysis and about what you think of these riders' performances, what they should have done differently, and all that fun stuff. So let's dive into the video. Alright, so right now you can see that I am fan viewing Zach Nair from Next presented by Insured, but for this time, he is racing for Team USA. And for those of you who already know the outcome of this race, he did make it on to the next race, so he is one person who was definitely being watched by the commentators and by all the spectators. 30 riders left at this point in the race, so there are not too many people left in contention for the win. And something that kind of tired a lot of riders out was that descent, and that got the best of even the best Zwift racers, such as Brian Duffy Jr., and he was caught off the back, even with that anvil power-up, because when everyone turned on the anvil power-up at the same time, it just created a stampede of riders, and it was just super dusty, and nobody could see anything. There was very bad visibility on the platform, and I know that may sound kind of stupid, since this is on a game, but you really could not see the riders in front of you, and that caused a lot of separation, which caused some frantic chasing towards the end of this race. So eventually it came back together, but a lot of riders did use their energy for that, and along with the previous race, because the previous race was super hard. And if you want to check my video out for that one, click the info card on the upper right hand corner, and that'll take you right to that first video. So you can see that there is a rider off the front right now, and that's kind of getting everyone worried, and everyone's starting to chase a bit. You see Great Britain there on the left. That rider is trying to chase, and Zach Nair, this is when he just launches his sprint insanely fast. And right now I'm watching Brian Duffy Jr., and I was keeping my eye on him because I knew that he's a very strong rider, and typically he does very well in these types of finishes. But today he just did not quite have the timing and power to get that top 10 spot, and he ended up coming in 15th. But what was really important about this part of the race is to just really have a really strong burst, I think, because that's what the first four riders did, and they ended up doing really well. So more of the steady sprint did not work quite as well, and using a burst of power, it was a lot more powerful, especially since it is a steeper ascent, so that is going to be a bit more effective than the traditional long sprint. And really make sure that you push all the way to the line, because some riders in the top 10, they let up towards the end, and they just didn't have it left. They didn't have enough energy in them to really bring them all the way to the line, and they end up getting passed by tons of riders at the line. You can see that rider who is slowly drifting towards the back, and that's really a bummer to see. And that's something that you can probably learn from this race, is that you gotta push all the way to the end and give it everything you have. Even if you are suffering, you just gotta keep pushing, knowing that you will have a positive outcome if you continue to put in all of your effort and give it your all. Let's go back to that finish real quick and take a closer look. Alright, so I'd argue that one of the key takeaways from this finish is that you really need to have a strong burst of power and lock onto somebody's wheel, so that you do have that draft and you do have that really fast momentum going up this climb, because if you just hold a steady power, you won't accelerate as fast, and that will eventually result in you losing time to the riders who do burst their power all the way up to their max as hard as possible, and then just hold on to riders' wheels, because you can see that for top four riders, stayed the top four riders because they had a really high speed going, and they were in a line. They were all drafting each other, whereas the blob, they were kind of sticking together. They started to stretch out a bit, but mostly the riders who got caught in the blob did not make it into the top 10. So that's really something to note, is that you really want to make the jump when it really does matter this much and you're trying to get in the top 10 specifically. So going earlier rather than later in this scenario is better. But I'd say in a traditional flat sprint where the draft is really, really strong in the blob, I say that going on a longer sprint is going to, or a later sprint actually, is going to be more effective. that's about all that I have. This is kind of just a brief analysis, not really in depth, but I tried to give you some of my thoughts on what the riders should have done differently and how the top riders did do the performance that they did. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Ride on, and see you all next time.